Hey guys, it's Andrew, Citizen Canine. So I read another article today online about a 23-month-old baby who got mauled by a neighbor's dog. I read these articles all the time, and every time I read them, I get pissed off to no end. I've actually had to take some time to calm down before I started filming this because I otherwise would go on a swear-laced rant about pet owners. But there's always, in these articles that I read, there's always a common theme, and that common theme is there's always some form of history with this dog or with this owner, right? Whether it is the dog has gotten out and and attacked, an obvious one has attacked before. The dog has shown all the different signs of aggression towards people, to whether it's the owner had previous citations for either that dog or other dogs in the past. The dog is not well cared for. The dog is kept behind a fence or in a kennel, and never out and about and socialized and stuff like that and trained most of its life, or it's tied up out front. I understand people get dogs for a lot of different reasons, and they, a lot of the times in these cases, it's they get the dog to protect the house or protect the family, and so they handle the dog completely wrong. So, in this video, my main purpose is to kind of explain, what's referred to as the aggression progression, right? So it doesn't matter what kind of dog you have. I don't care. You could give me an 8-week-old golden retriever with the sweetest temperament that you've ever seen. If I took that dog and I tied it to a engine block in my front yard, maybe put out a little shelter or a little dog house or something for it, and left it out there, maybe brought it in overnight to sleep, and but that's where it spent most of its time, tied up. And that dog spent all of its time just seeing people go by and other dogs go by, and never got socialized, didn't do any training with it. Over time, initially that dog is going to be super excited to see everybody. It's going to chase butterflies, and it's going to, other people it's just going to want to say hello to. But as time goes on, and that dog never gets the opportunity to have those experiences and learn how it's supposed to respond when it comes in contact with other people and other dogs and stuff like that, that dog is going to get seriously frustrated. The dog is going to be, you're going to see the jumping and the barking and the and all that stuff increase, and it's going to sound not only is it going to sound worse because the dog's getting older and it's going to have a deeper bark, but it's going to sound more intimidating. It's not going to be like the excitement, oh my god, I'm so happy to see you type of barking. All that excitement turns into frustration, and then from the frustrated point is where you head down the road to aggression. It's the lack of socialization, it's the lack of rules and structure and training that cause a dog to go down that path. So in all these news articles that you see, there's usually always some form of that happening. Now, maybe not all of them, or not all of those scenarios where it's not always a dog that's tied up or whatever, but there's always a common theme of some type of mishandling, lack of training, lack of socialization. The dog was, the owner, whatever, allow the dog to maybe be, tormented by neighborhood kids. Whatever the case may be, there's always some kind of owner or owner error in handling or mismanagement of the dog. And why they got the dog in the first place, I have no idea. Some people get it because maybe they live in dangerous neighborhoods and they want a dog that they think is going to protect their house or their family. I can tell you that a dog that is raised like that, say they get a dog from the shelter or whatever, and it's put outside because they want the dog to protect the house or family. If that's how you treat that dog does not care about you. It does not care about your house. It doesn't care about your things or your TV. It's and it gets to that point where aggression is already set in, and it's just looking to release some of that frustration and that energy on something, it's going to destroy it, right? That's what it's going to do. They're animals, and they if put in situations like that, they go loco. I say they're going to go crazy. So that's in a very tiny nutshell. That is how those things happen. That is how dogs get to that point. So the best way to ensure that doesn't happen is obviously it's preventative. It's making sure if you're going to get a dog, I don't care if you're going to get it from a breeder, shelter, rescue, you found it on the street, your neighbor's buddies, 2 dogs had puppies, whatever. Prevention is the best medicine. So making sure that very early on you start socializing, you go through training, going through some of the puppy classes and things like that are great for socialization and learning the basics. And if you find a good place that you can go for those group classes, that can be fantastic. But if you rely on just going to one puppy class in a big box store or something like that, that's not usually going to cut it, for the dog going forward. Unless you're a very experienced dog handler and you understand what's going on and how to continue those things on your own, then that's fine. Where people get into trouble is they don't usually seek help or realize that they need help until after the problem already exists. And unfortunately, that's where the majority of the time I get called in is it's usually a dog that already has large issues that we're now trying to undo. And to say that I've had a very good success working with a lot of dogs that have whether it's aggression issues or issues caused by mismanagement, but people need to identify when they're starting to head down that road. Preferably, not go down that road in the first place, but identify when things are starting to happen and start training as soon as possible. That's where I think you get a lot of dogs that get dumped at shelters, is because it was a cute puppy, and then it was cute when it was mouthing, and oh, look at that, it took my shoelace and da 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 da. But then that dog starts to grow up, and then it's now completely shredding shoes or furniture, or the bites are getting stronger and harder. Why? Because you never told it no. You thought it was cute, and you were all laughing and giggling, and you know what? That dog now thinks that biting is completely appropriate. Okay? So, trying to keep from going down that road in the first place is the best option, but identifying as soon as you realize that you're outgunned, that maybe you don't know as much as you thought you knew, that's when you need to call in a professional and have someone walk you through the steps on how to start undoing those things. It's not a lost cause. It's usually never a lost cause. Sometimes if there's a dog that's gone way off the deep end, the expectations are different. If you have a dog that's shown aggression towards children, I as a trainer, I'm never going to sign off certifying that that dog is completely safe to be around kids. I'm not going to do it. I have small kids myself, and I'm not going to want you to put your kids or anybody else's kids in that predicament, or your dog. If your dog's not comfortable around kids, children don't understand the warning signs from a dog. And so the dog may be trying to do all the right things by trying to avoid the situation, or if it gets backed into a corner, it starts growling, then showing its teeth and maybe barking, whatever, until eventually that dog thinks, I have no other option than to react to this to this kid. So it's stuff like that people need to be aware of when handling their own dog. And if you're thinking about getting a dog, understand that it's an investment. It is something that you have to continually work on. It's not something that you just oh, well, I'm just going to get a dog and everything's going to be great. I'll just give it some food and I'm going to love it and it's going to love me back. That's not the case. If you treat your dog like a human, your dog's going to treat you like a dog. Okay, you see those the people who get the small pocket dogs and they carry them everywhere they go, and the dog's feet never touch the ground, and it wears sweaters and a a harness on a flexi lead and gets pushed around in a stroller, those dogs are going down the exact same road as, you know, these dogs that attack. Well, one, small dogs attack people too. They just don't get reported nearly as much as, you know, the big dogs, because the bites and the, you know, the aftermath isn't as severe. But, you know, those dogs that, you know, the owner's holding it, the dog's snapping and snarling, and the people just think it's the cutest thing ever. Oh, he's just protecting me. No, he's not protecting you. He's telling the world that, hey, I own this person. Don't you dare come near him, because it's mine. And you know, that is something that we can't have. You know, and you put the dog, you put that dog on the floor, you put a leash on it, that's a different dog, right? It's all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Now, you know, my whole scenario has changed, and I'm not such a tough guy or gal. But you know, and it's things like that. So I mean, it doesn't matter the size of the dog. You know, all these dogs, you know, that are mishandled and untrained, have the same issues that, you know, that you know, could have been fixed from the start, or, you know, could have been prevented from the start and could have been fixed, you know, if caught early enough. But, you know, a lot of the times it's just, you know, by the time it gets too bad, people say, hey, you know what, I don't want to deal with this, and, you know, off the dog goes to the shelter, and, you know, to be either put down or you know, someone else's problem that they have to try to undo. There's always going to be stupid people out there. There's always going to be stupid owners, and there's always going to be, you know, people who think they got everything under control. And unfortunately, it's not until, you know, something like this happens, where, you know, dog gets loose and mauls a baby, or, you know, kills a kid, that, you know, people don't stand up and take notice or decide they're going to do anything about it. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. You know, identifying where you're, you know, how dogs end up in that type of situation, and how, you know, how that whole progression happens is, you know, is key. It's crucial. And, you know, you first start to realize that you're outgunned by your dog, you need to call somebody. You need to get some help in there. There's tons of talented trainers all over the country that deal with this stuff on a daily basis, and they, you know, the sooner you start, not only the sooner you're going to get it, you can get it fixed, or, you know, you can at least start putting systems in place to safeguard, you know, yourself and other people from the dog. But, you know, I mean, people don't want to make the investment. But I tell you what, it's a lot cheaper to fix it in the beginning than it is to wait until the end. You know, I've had people who want to send me their dog, you know, for the 2-week board and train, because, you know, they're at their wits' end, and it's, you know, and it's not, you know, I mean, it's not a cheap program, I'm not gonna lie, but, you know, I mean, it's worth every penny, don't get me wrong, but you know, I mean, but the expectations after the completion are completely different than if they, you know, had they called me 6 months prior. Then I could say, okay, you know, we're gonna have this, you know, completely handled and fixed. But you know, they wait until the dog's too far gone to where, you know, it becomes more of a management thing as opposed to a cure. So, you know, that's my 2 cents. You know, I hope it reaches some people that need it. You know, please like and share, and you know, get the word out that, you know, these incidents, that, you know, it can all be prevented. It can all be prevented. We just need to be more vigilant as a society, as dog owners, as dog lovers, as, you know, as parents, and, you know, grandparents and aunts and uncles, and, you know, whatever. You know, we need to keep our kids safe, keep other kids safe. If you're the one that has the dog that's dangerous, you know, don't be embarrassed about it. Don't, you know, you identify there's a problem and get it fixed. And that's, you know, and you know, I have more respect for somebody who's willing to, you know, come forward and say, hey, look, you know, this is a problem, and, you know, I tried my best. You know, I read the books, and I watched, you know, the TV shows, and tried to do it all, but it's just not working. You know, people like that, you know, I mean, I have a lot of respect for, because it takes a big person to come out and say, all right, you know, I need help. It's not, you know, I'm scared of what my dog, you know, potentially could do. So hopefully, you know, you guys learned something about, you know, the aggression progression, and you're willing to get the word out, and, you know, and like and share the video, and to, you know, hopefully help somebody else out there. All right, love you guys. I'll see you soon.